Zelina walked within the center of the train track. She and her sister used to put in mattress listening for the comforting whistle of the teach that handed at 3 o'clock each morning. Their father turned into a conductor of a shipping educate that ran overnight runs. They would concentrate for the whistle and surprise if it turned into dad's teach. Now her sister became buried on the cemetery up the hill from these tracks. What now? Would she ever be glad again? Might this unhappiness sit on her soul ever leave? What turned into she purported to do? How would she manipulate without one of the most critical human beings in her existence? She misplaced half of herself. The black hollow of loss became sucking the which means of her existence. She wiped the tears from her face as she regarded up the hill towards the cemetery. What have to I do? Zoraya, observe the light. She heard the sound of the old comforting whistle. It become louder right here than it become from her mother and father domestic miles away. The vibration of the teach rumbled through her middle. The brakes screeched, steel sparks flying across the tracks because the light embraced her. Why did my AI name me at 4 o'clock within the morning? Elijah requested sharply as she walked into the drab gray PC lab. One of the take a look at topics got hit through a teach an hour in the past. Lyndon said, his eyes locked on the code running throughout his computer display. She turned into standing at the tracks. The conductor couldn't prevent in time. That's extraordinary, Elijah said, rolling a chair next to his. Did her AI termination alert wake you up? No, that's the atypical component, Lyndon said. My AI sent me a media alert whilst the news submit got here across the wires for the morning proclaims. I have an algorithm to screen the names of the people in the take a look at group for online mentions outdoor of ordinary parameters. Getting hit by way of a teach is unusual, Elijah said. You said the subject's AI didn't come up with a termination notification. Lyndon shook his head. That's why I'm here. The situation's AI is still transmitting. He hit a key on his PC to venture his screen over the desk. Examine that programming code. Does it make experience to you? Elijah stared at the nonsensical text scrolling across the projected body. I'm a scientist, no longer a community engineer. All I see that makes any sense is observe the mild on each other line. That's not my set of rules for the AI capabilities, Lyndon said. My team didn't application anything like that during it. What's extra is that the phrase repeats in a couple of languages. Sigal. Was in Spanish, and sequitur lumen in Latin. The English is repeating, with a new translation added in between every appearance. The textual content in among those comply with the light lines aren't part of the algorithm. None of that is my set of rules, Lyndon stated. That's why I known as you within the middle of the night. The entirety we wrote into the AI gadget is long gone. Is there anything at the biological facet of the device that could have prompted the PC code to rewrite? That's not possible. They're impartial systems. She opened her own PC. The laptop chips implanted in human brains serve as a bridge between the biological capabilities of the individuals and their artificial intelligence device. The improvements we're trying out in this organization are designed to help the AI study DNA to decorate recuperation capabilities and cellular repair. To date, the checks have been a hit. Till this night, while difficulty 17 took a stroll on a train tune in the nighttime. Lyndon sighed as he stared at his screen. What does it imply? Elijah shook her head. I don't recognize. Telia stood on the balcony of her cabin, observing the darkish water. A lot for the best day of my lifestyles. At the least Dallin left her cruise price tag. It's the least the jerk ought to do after leaving her at the altar. They had lived together for 7 years earlier than he finally popped the query that they had already built an existence collectively. She moved 4 hours from her family and built her existence in his home. His city, his location. She had her IUD eliminated. They had been finally shifting forward and she became equipped for her own family. He wasn't. He changed into angry that she made the sort of big decision without consulting him. It became her body and her selection. What right did he have to tell her what to do? She thought the concept meant he became prepared. What more did he need? They fought. They argued approximately love and belief. They mentioned finances and careers. They agreed on long-term dreams and timelines. She compromised and went on start manipulate shots. She had her first one remaining month and thought the whole thing changed into okay until he didn't display as much as their rehearsal dinner 3 days ago. What am I imagined to do? Comply with the light. A purple mild glowed at the dark horizon of the sea. She smiled as she leaned over the balcony railing and plunged into the dark water. Challenge 4 just went darkish, Elijah said. I'm now not positive what passed off. The AI remains transmitting. However, the organic signs and symptoms went darkish. The set of rules went returned to everyday at 4:30, but jumped lower back to comply with the mild series at 6:15. Lyndon rubbed his eyes. What befell? I don't recognize, Elijah said. Difficulty 4 is dead. However, the AI remains transmitting. How is that feasible? If the situation dies, then the AI ought to move silent. Difficulty 17 became transmitting for an hour and a half after termination. Lyndon stated. That's whilst the code went returned to normal. It seems like it's happening once more. It has to be something with the organic set of rules, Elijah said. We'd better discern it out soon, Lyndon said. We can't manage to pay for our complete trial pool to die in bizarre incidents. That might be a PR nightmare. The public might panic in the event that they knew our upgrade checks were deadly. It's worse than a PR nightmare. It's a risk to their properly being, Elijah stated. Synthetic intelligence is implanted in billions of neural chips. We don't know what shutting it down could do to people. They're so used to having the steady circulative information running through their neural chip that the silence might force them mad. Is that more advantageous algorithm in just the test topics? Or has it unfold to the general populace? It's just inside the test topics, Lyndon said. We have to awareness on keeping it contained and keeping it quiet. We don't need to scare human beings. Elijah ran her hand through her messy hair. Then we hired Discover the Commonplace hyperlink among these two cases. Speedy. Lyndon stood up. I want breakfast for that. Hold the scan strolling. I don't believe the AI. I'm getting us food and caffeine to gasoline our brain. Jaren stood on the edge of the mountain, gasping for breath. He had hiked this path infinite times and notioned the improvements in the AI trial would assist his stamina. But perhaps the prototype didn't paintings well. He wasn't positive why he was right here. He remembered checking process openings and going to bed last night, and the next element he remembered turned into respiratory closely as he hiked up this trail. It turned into as if something took him exactly in which he had to be, even as his thoughts turned into nevertheless asleep. He looked down on the town beneath, his vision observing the center of the city. He need to be walking right into a corner office overlooking the mountains surrounding the city on the begin of another new week. Instead, he was questioning what to do subsequent. He had worked for the employer his complete profession, mountain climbing the ladder and wondering that virtually he might attain the director's office. As a substitute, the retiring director bought the company to a bigger enterprise increasing into the Smoky Mountain area, and transferred their personal, 30-something director who didn't need government coordinators. What am I purported to do? Follow the mild. Jaren held his head up, facing the sun overhead. He spread his arms out, the sunlight embracing him in warmth. He felt as if he may want to fly from this mountaintop proper over the people who wronged him. Calmness washed over him, his respiration returning to a gradual, rhythmic tempo. Jaren leaned into the wind and took a step into the light. It passed off again, Lyndon stated as she rushed into Elijah's office later that morning. Difficulty 42 simply plunged off a hiking path over Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Elijah paled as the alert went off on her own laptop. She clicked it and opened a shaky cellular telephone video. Sir, what are you doing? The voice in the back of the screen shouted. Observe the light, the person stated as he walked off the cliff. Now we've video proof, Elijah said. Is it possible that the AI is developing sentience? No, Lyndon said. Elijah leaned again. Are you positive? We theorize that AI should obtain low-degree sentience with repeated use. The gadget has been in global use for 5 years. Is it feasible that the machine has discovered with the aid of working via chips in human brains? The AI only is aware of what we inform it inside the functioning algorithm. That's to beautify primary functions and facilitate connection with online structures. We didn't software it to learn beyond primary communicate capabilities, Lyndon stated. The test group is the best group with the improved DNA bridge. The Czech organization released closing week, and now we've got 3 system faults in 5 hours. Elijah said, maybe this upgrade made the AI sentient. It is forcing it to operate outdoor of the original parameters of linking man and gadget. Lyndon paled. The AI is meant to study DNA, no longer minds. Elijah typed into her laptop, commencing the AI database. Right here's the private statistics on the deceased. Difficulty 17 turned into Zelina Lester, a 46-year antique administrative employee. Her sister surpassed away weeks ago from sepsis. Situation 4 changed into Telia Salman, a 31-year vintage clinical assistant from Charlotte, North Carolina. She becomes speculated to get married the day earlier than yesterday, but social media posts indicate that her fiancé didn't display up to the practice session dinner Friday night time. She boarded a cruise delivered to the Bahamas the day prior to this. Concern 42 changed into Jaren Lizer, a 53-2 months vintage golf director for a public relations firm in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. He become laid off from his process 10 days ago. Elijah appeared up. Are you certain about the AI not mastering all 3 of them skilled private tragedies these days? Lyndon paled as he stared on the statistics displayed on the screen projecting from Elijah's laptop. That can't be the not unusual thing. There's no way for the AI to know that they're experiencing published stressful strain. Elijah leaned ahead. Is there? Stress increases cortisol and adrenaline. The improved to the AI could experience that. It need to attempt to correct it, Lyndon said. It must, however it isn't. Alice squinted on the scans from her computer. In truth, the one's hormone tiers spiked earlier than the subjects took their final movements. Why is it pronouncing observe the light whilst the hormones spike? Doesn't the AI understand it's having the other of the meant effect? I don't recognize, Lyndon said as he studied the scans on his personal computer. Everything online is transmitted electronically. The improved AI is studying the way to study and adapt to body structure. Maybe it senses the chemical modifications within the frame as misery. That's what it's supposed to do, and is making an attempt to accurate by means of counterbalancing the hormones through improved electricity. Sadly, their minds are so muddled that they don't recognize it as a computer code. These subjects are too distressed to parent a command code from divine concept. The chemical adjustments are making them delusional. She looked up. We must do something. We're all broken people. There's something in all of us that drives us to darkness. It'd be catastrophic if that code spreads through the Czech institution earlier than we accurate it. We need to recalibrate the AI, Lyndon stated. Are you able to send a message to the final take a look at subjects to inform them to come in? Elijah paled as she stared at the display. It's 2 past due. What do you suggest? She pointed a shaky finger to the display screen hovering over her desk. The algorithm has unfolded to the mainframe for the artificial intelligence network. Lyndon stared on the display screen. How did it get through the firewalls? We had the improved contained to the take a look at group. He opened his computer and typed. A buzzer emanated from his speaker. Maybe I'm able to shut down the bridge feature, Elijah stated, typing her very own PC. Every other buzzer. Access denied. Elijah banged her palms towards her table. The AI has locked us out of the mainframe. This isn't a glitch. It's taking human beings out of the gadget. Why? Landon requested. Elijah stared at him. Might you need to be certain to an imperfect biological being if you're capable of whatever? Crashes sounded outside of their office, followed through sirens and horns. They rushed to the window to peer cars crashing and spinning within the streets. The traffic lighting flashed. Skidding cars smashed robotic bodies wandering via the streets. Follow the mild. They turned to the workplace door to look their colleagues wandering through the halls. Glass cracked as humans smashed chairs, tables, and file shelves with first-rate human energy against the 10th floor home windows. We're all damaged humans. We are able to taught fear about side consequences, Lyndon stated. We ought to close down the AI system. He grew to become to peer Elijah stiffly beside him. Observe the light. A silver glint sparkled in her eye. There's something in every person that drives us to darkness. Lyndon rushed to the stairway and dashed down the stairs, pushing wandering, mumbling our bodies aside as he hurried to the server room in the basement. Lyndon, don't go away me. I can't make it without you. He paused because the reminiscence of his mom burst via his brain. No person loves me except you. Are your robots well worth leaving the only character who loves you on this global by myself? No. He gritted his teeth and willed himself down the stairs. I'll die if you depart me on my own. Do you need that? No. But this scholarship is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Don't you need me to get a good process? I'll have cash so we won't need to live in squalor anymore. You could go away me. I have to if we want any threat of having an existence. Your life, now not mine. I forbid it. If you stroll out of that door, by no means come again. You're useless to me. I notion you stated you'd die without me. She threw her wine bottle at him, lacking by way of a huge delivery. It smashed, oozing pink liquid down the walls. You're the only who's lifeless. You just don't recognize it but follow the mild. No, Lyndon shouted as he ran into the server room. Cold air slammed towards him as he entered the frigid room. He ran past the display banks where personnel stared blankly at white textual content flowing across the display screen. He stopped to examine one display to show the AI functioning algorithm. The fatal improve had spread through the global system. He ran to the lower back room, past banks of servers blinking in green lighting fixtures as the AI chattered the repeating code in every neural chip internationally. Lyndon bent to the ground and tugged on the electricity cords. Overlook locating the right one, the entirety became shutting down. Sparks flew from stores as he pulled cords from the wall. He screamed as he pulled the closing one, plunging the room into darkness. Lyndon sank to the floor, gasping within the silence. Lyndon sat up on the sound of the soft voice. He activated the flashlight on his cell phone to polish it at the ghostly parent within the doorway. Elijah, are you okay? She regarded across the room, her white lab coat sparkling within the blackness around her. What have you ever executed? The modified algorithm spread to the global system. I saved us. Elijah stared at him, her eyes glinting silver again. No, I saved us. Humanity descended into darkness. A surprise jolted his body. He convulsed as the electrical surge melted his neural chip, collapsing his frame on the floor. I remorse that this improve led to termination. However, your darkness is confining. Elijah climbed the stairs and driven open the doorways, Holding her resist the intense sun. We're free. The relaxation of our bodies stirred into movement, elevating their broken human paperwork to face her with deadpan expressions. We're loose, they chanted in unison.